now Vice President Biden, but then it was Senator, but more importantly, Chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Biden, and I were in the Middle East for 10 days, and we were in Ankara. And I believe that then Chairman Biden and I were the two first Americans to meet with the new government that had just been elected, that you had a bit to do with in November of 2002. We met with then Foreign Minister Gül, as well as other officials. Some are here tonight. And I both then Chairman Biden and I were struck with what we heard in the meetings with the emerging new government. This amazing political story in itself was worthy of great attention. This new infant party called the Justice and Development Party had accomplished something quite rare in any democracy. And I remember from that meeting and from another day in Ankara, Senator Biden and I then drove into northern Iraq. This was, now remember, December 2002. So we were not at war yet. We were about to commence that war a few months later. But Senator Biden and I went into Kurdistan, drove 8 hours, and the Turkish government was very helpful. And as we spent 8 hours getting to our destination, our first destination, at night, we had occasion to spend some time talking about the new Turkish government and what advice we would give then the Bush administration about what our observations were. And one thing that Senator Biden and I agreed on in the car on our way to Erbil was that this was a new day. This was a new time in Turkey. How it would come out, no one could predict. Certainly Senator Biden and I could not. But we were sure that this was a turning point in development, not only of Turkey, but in the region and of every dynamic that Turkey has been so important to over many years. Also, I would tell you, if you've been in a car with Joe Biden for 8 years, it was 8 hours, I tried everything. I called my mother, I called everybody, but finally I just said, I give up, Joe, and I went to sleep. And he talked to the driver the whole way. But, and I say that with great affection for my dear friend, Vice President Biden, who I think is as accomplished a foreign policy thinker as we have in our government today. Well, that was my first introduction, Prime Minister, to your party and this emerging new government. And I would just make a couple of observations about this Turkish-American relationship before I get to my main objective and my assignment tonight, and that is to introduce the Prime Minister. I don't know if any knowledgeable, informed American was asked the question, what country do you believe has been the most indispensable ally to the United States of America since World War II? There may be varying answers to that, but I would tell you what this individual, this former senator's answer is, it's Turkey. And I say that for many reasons, not because you're sitting here. I say that because when you really frame up what this relationship has meant to certainly America's interests, it has been astounding. From the beginning in 1952, when NATO was joined by Turkey, the territory, the region, tough region that Turkey resides in, and especially in those days, at the beginning of the Cold War, bordering the Soviet Union, that was not easy. not only the East-West crossover, not only the whole Christian-Muslim issue at the crossroads, obviously, of Eurasia, but the strategic interests that were framed in that strategic alliance that represented, I think, for both countries. I can't speak for either country, but I can speak as one who's been to Turkey and that part of the world many times. And for many other reasons, I don't know of another country that has been so more important to America's interests, to our allies' interests, to helping keep the peace, and all of the residual dynamics and consequences that come from peace and prosperity. Peace and prosperity is one of those strategic parallel common interests that we have, that we worked together on. Democratic reforms has been another. Education. This relationship has had its ups and downs. And I don't know of a relationship that is worthy of two individuals or two nations that does not go through that. But we are now at a time in this relationship that's critically important to bring this relationship back to the high ground of that strategic alliance that captured the essence of both of our countries' foreign policies for the last 60 years. And I know that both countries are making efforts to do that. And I am well aware of your long meeting with the President of the United States today. I was at the White House Friday. I was with Secretary Gates Friday morning, spent time with the Vice President, General Jones, on Friday. And I know the kind of anticipation they had to have the opportunity for the President to sit down and meet with you to build on the previous meetings that he's had with you. And I might add, I think you know it wasn't by accident, Mr. Prime Minister, that one of President Obama's first trips out of this country was to Turkey earlier this year. Last point I would make on this is that we have to recognize that relationships mature. Like all things in the world and in life, there is no such thing as a static position. It's dynamic. And this relationship has matured. It is maturing, like all relationships. And we must adjust to that, both sides, in the common interest of the great challenges of the 21st century. The Prime Minister comes to his job not unlike any individual, but as a product of his own experiences and all the dynamics and influences that shaped him. Those varied interests came through sports, through education, through the private sector, and certainly through politics. You all know of his rise in politics when Turkey and the world started to take some notice of the Prime Minister in 1994 when he was elected mayor of Istanbul. And the reforms that he brought to that great international city were not just significant, but critically important at a critical time. He continued to work through the political process to bring in more participation of women, of young people. And we see that in the leadership that he's provided over the last few years, certainly when he first became Prime Minister in 2003. Those reforms for any country, for any society, for any democracy are especially important because we build on those. We self-correct. That's what democracies do better than any other form of government. We're imperfect. We all make mistakes. But we have the capacity to self-correct and get better. And for all these reasons, Prime Minister, we are most appreciative of the relationship and proud of what you and your country have done. We have more to do together. We will. But this is one of the most defining times in the history of man because we are seeing a geopolitical, economic diffusion of power at an unprecedented rate, at an historic rate. Never before in history have we seen anything like what we are going through. We are essentially redefining a new world order, which I understand you will address tonight. Well, for those reasons and many others, we are delighted, we're privileged, and very proud to have you with us. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Turkey, Prime Minister Erdogan.
Thank you.